Hi everyone, welcome to Spoopys Spooky Show, the podcast for all your spooky ooky needs. Today is episode 2, yay! And we're going to be talking about haunted places set in America. So we're going to be talking about the Stanley Hotel, Hoosac Tunnel, Lake Lanier, and the girl at Centennial Hall. So let's hop right into it. So we're going to be starting off with the Stanley Hotel. So the Stanley Hotel was opened in 1909 by Yankee inventor Freeland Oscar Stanley and his wife Flora Stanley. And Freeland Oscar Stanley was the co-founder of Stanley Motor Carriage. So he opened it. It was a 420-room hotel, kind of had the East Coast flair that was missing in his travels in the West. So, being the rich man he was like, why not? I want to be comfortable in Colorado, so why not just open up a lavish New Yorker hotel? Hey. It's set in Estates Park. I believe I'm saying that right, or Essex Park, in Colorado. It's right near Boulder. It's like an hour up from Boulder, and I know that because I want to get married here. I really, really want to have my wedding at the Stanley Hotel, because Spoopy's gotta have a spoopy wedding. But anyway, so in 1970, the hotel was about to be demolished due to just negligence and just not a lot of upkeep, so it just was turning into not a great place to go, so losing a lot of people, a lot of guests. But then in 1974, only 4 years after that, Stephen King and his wife spent the night. And they were the only guests there due to the closing for winter. So, only a skeleton crew remained, only very, very essential people. They were booked in Suite 217, the famous suite. The presidential suite, which is still the most expensive suite to book there. Because I've wanted to stay there multiple times. I'm just too far away right now. But they were the only paying customers at the time, so, they got the best room. While Stephen King was there, he endured a nightmare where his son was chased down, their super long hallways, never-ending hallways, by a possessed fire hose, which to me sounds so funny, but I get how that is terrifying, but it's just so funny to think about. But again, very scary to see an inanimate object just chasing your child down a hotel where you're staying. Very scary, I get it. And he awoke, in cold sweats. He stepped on his balcony to, have a smoke to calm down. And apparently by the time he was done with his cigarette, he had the bones for The Shining, his novel. So his book was published in 1977, as, as The Shining, and it also boosted tourism. Wow, that took a while to complete the book. I mean, it is a masterpiece, so, I actually haven't read it. I've only watched the movie, but it's one of my favorite horror movies. But I really need to read the book. I just don't own it, but and I can't listen to ebooks, which is kind of funny. But I can't retain all the information. I have to see it. I have to see it or read it, which is why I write everything down on paper, because I just can't retain information like that. To each their own. But then the film The Shining came out in 1980 by Stanley Kubrick. Who, chef's kiss, beautiful piece of art. And apparently, I didn't know this, which is super cool, the film plays non-stop on one of the hotel's channels, which is so cool. I think that's awesome. It's so scary. Are you kidding me? It's non-stop The Shining. But anyway, let's talk about the ghosts that reside there. So, since Stanley's death in 1940, ghosts have seen him checking guests in at the reception desk or holding his ghost wife, Flora. And Flora has actually been seen playing at the piano in the empty music room. Pretty spooky stuff. So yeah, that is in the... She's been heard playing, sorry, not in the music room, the concert hall. Same thing, but just different name. So yeah, you'll be in there, no one's around, and you'll just hear a beautiful piano playing in the background, which I think would be very nice, but, spooky stuff. Also, in 1920, or in the 1920s, sometime around that time, I couldn't find the exact date, a gas leak happened in room 217. Spooky. And it destroyed the entire second floor, nearly killing a chambermaid. She recovered, and she held her job until she died at age 90 in her home, which was near the hotel. Since then, the chambermaid... I did have her name. I forgot it. It's Wilson. That's her last name. I think it's Elizabeth Wilson. She resides in room 201. That's where she predominantly haunts. But she has been seen hovering and walking through closed doors. Also, since, this was back in the day, she hates unmarried couples and men staying in the main hotel, because back then when she was working, men weren't allowed to stay there. They had to stay in this offshoot in another building, again, if they weren't married. So she'll leave married people alone, but if there's an unmarried couple sharing a bed, she will wedge them apart in her sleep, being like a chaperone of some sorts, and stay there all night, keeping them apart. So yeah, a lot of couples have complained about this, and also single men have awoke to find that all their bags have been packed and that they're left outside their door. So, she's the boss, she's handling everything over there. Also, there's been reports that in the ice house, which was an outdoor building that obviously housed, large blocks of ice when there wasn't indoor refrigeration. So in that building, there's a ghost named Billy, who was a shy boy with dark brown hair, and he shares the ice house with a spirit who has a large beard and white hair. That's all that's said about the ice house people, but nothing says about what they do. I guess they just kind of stay there, one of them's very shy, not all ghosts are scary and spooky, some are just scared, and I'm presuming Billy was a child because it says a shy boy, so yeah. Moving on, these are a little more interesting. So the hotel also has a pet cemetery, which I don't understand why, but it's a super old property, so who knows. But so there's two little fluffy ghosts over there. So there's Cassie, or Casey, I'm not exactly sure, a golden retriever. Apparently guests here pawing at their doors, eager to deliver the morning paper. I guess, I don't know, it didn't say anybody's seen her or anything, but there's apparently a huge ghost dog, a fluffy little golden retriever girl. Good girl. And there's also Comanche, I don't know if I'm saying that right, who is a fluffy white cat who likes to wander the property, and she has been seen multiple times, which is, a little more legitimate than a gigantic golden retriever just wanting to deliver your morning newspaper, but who am I to judge? And then the fourth floor is another location that is apparently extremely haunted, with all children, apparently, which is, like, well, is it children or a demon? Who knows? I mean, but yeah, so children have been seen running around, playing with balls, just making a lot of noise. I mean, multiple have been seen, so it's like, and apparently, guests will be in their room, and then they'll awake to see that their room door is wide open with a child standing at the doorway, just staring at them. You're like, oh, which, like, yeah, it's concerning to be like, child, where are your parents? But it's also like, please don't stare at me while I sleep and open my door, that's rude. But apparently when you go to them, they just run away and then disappear. So, super creepy. There was also just, this was also near the ice house. This was a photo of a woman was caught in a pink dress, and she was twirling around in the photo during a ghost tour. Just an interesting little fact. Not much more about her, just a cool little photo that I found while researching this. And it looks very legitimate, that's why I added it in. Maybe if I ever make a video for these podcasts, I'll throw it up. Throw it up on the screen. For right now, it's only audio, but because I can't edit videos. So, yeah. If someone wants to help me out with that, that'd be cool. But in room 428, there has been reports of a cowboy ghost who likes to just sit in the corner, pace around the room. Apparently this is a very respectable gentleman who he has kissed ladies' foreheads goodnight. And also, if you ask him to leave, he will respectfully just, be on his merry way. Just very, very stand-up ghosty boy. We like him. He's a good guy. Next is the concert hall. People will feel and hear ghosts. A worker who's named Paul, he was the man who enforced the curfew. He was the one who enforced the curfew. He unfortunately died on the job due to a heart attack in 2005. Guests still hear. He unfortunately died on the job due to a heart attack in 2005, and now guests will hear some man yelling "get out" or actually physically push them out the door. So that's Paul. Doesn't seem that friendly, but he's just doing his job still. Hard-working ghost. This one was sad. So this little girl had to be 6 to 8 years old, like a very small child. She was apparently found in the basement peeping at construction plans, and when workers found her, they took her and threw her outside in the middle of winter, where she froze to death. Very sad. Don't know why she didn't go inside, but maybe she was upset. Who knows? That's all that I found about it. Hope those workers got punished in jail, but who knows? That's all I could find about it, because it was probably in 1912 or something. It was a very, very long time ago. And apparently she is seen in a little pink night dress. Different from the woman in the pink dress that I talked about before. This girl's 8, she's very small. But apparently she still haunts the concert hall and the basement. Moving on to the next ghost. This one has so many ghosts. I have 4 pages of ghosts. And that's why I'm going through them pretty quickly, because there's just so much ghost history at the Stanley Hotel. Apparently ladies have felt this, different kind of male ghost all throughout the hotel, touch their hair, kiss their cheek. They felt hands rubbing down their entire body, caressing them. Some gross male stuff, how men were, men are more respectful these days, but in 1909, men really didn't care, But another ghosty boy, was actually Lord Dunraven. He was one of the original owners, and he haunts the room 401. And he also was that gross little man that just really likes women and thinks he can touch them without permission. Not trying to be political, but just don't do that. It's gross. So he likes women. He wraps his arms around them and plays with their hair. And he hates men. He apparently will make them feel extremely unwelcome or steal their valuables. And almost every single room has activity of some ghostly kind, So this place is just chock full of them, and yeah, that was the end for the Stanley Hotel. Interesting to know that there's I couldn't find any activity around the kitchen or their little maze that they have, but the maze is fairly new and it's pretty small, so I doubt it. But very interesting. And I do know that multiple ghost investigators have gone there and searched it. One really good episode that I really liked. I love ghost adventures. I think they're very how do I say this, not frauds compared to a lot of the ghost hunting shows on there. I've been watching them since the beginning, so it's been a very long time, and I very much enjoy their content and how they go about things, they'll debunk things, and it's not, even if it is scripted, it's not completely obvious like some other shows. Ghost hunters. But that's just my take on it. Drinking brisk, by the way. But yeah, so I'm gonna do my 1 to 10 spoopy boys out of believability, scariness, and if I would go investigate. So, believability. Do I believe that all these ghosts are really there and it's that haunted, and it's just a crazy place for paranormal activity? 10 out of 10. Are you kidding me? Also, apparently in the tunnels, because there's tunnels beneath the Stanley Hotel as well, apparently there's so much different kinds of crystals and stuff. I just remember it from the Ghost Adventures episode, that there's just so much quartz and just all this energy for these ghosts to constantly feed on. And obviously it's a hotel, so all these people are there too. So yeah, 10 out of 10. Believe all of it. I love it. It's yeah, I love it. Scariness. I would honestly have to say 3 out of 10. There's not really any malevolent ghost, it's not people are being thrown off the balcony or physically hurt. It's just ghosts. You just kind of see ghosts, and that's not, I've been through that. It's not that. It's scary, but it's not, I'm gonna run out of the hotel screaming scary, so it's a 3. I think a solid 3 spooky boys. I keep going back on spoopy or spooky boys. I think I'm gonna stick with spooky boys. I think that's better. Yeah. Anyway, 3 out of 10 for scariness. Would I go investigate there? Oh, hell yeah. 10 out of 10. Are you kidding me? It's my dream to investigate there. I want to have my wedding there, obviously. And I have been thinking about moving to Boulder, Denver area, because I do not like California. I grew up in the middle of the woods, and it's I need some of that stuff back. And I don't like heat. I'm so bad with the heat. Ugh, it's too hot here. And I like snowboarding, so yeah, Colorado. But yeah, so that's it for the Stanley Hotel. moving on, we are going to be talking about the Hoosac Tunnel. So this one, I really like this one. So, Hoosac Tunnel, located in Berkshire Hills in North Adams, Massachusetts. It's this railroad tunnel that they began digging in 1851 until 1874, till its completion. So, 23 years of work. But during those 23 years, 200 miners lost their lives, and the mining, the mining system and stuff, became known as the Bloody Pit, which is very sad. Very, very sad. These miners died in explosions, fires, drownings, just, not being able to breathe. Mines are notoriously one of the most dangerous places to work in, and this very much so proved that to be true. So, one of the first big accidents that began wasn't really an accident. So, in 1865, Ned Brinkman, Billy Nash, and Ringo Kelly planted a charge of nitroglycerin for the construction of the tunnel. It's when it was kind of first introduced into America for helping, just creating tunnels and such. Just very dangerous. So they set the charge. So then they all ran to the safety bunker, but Kelly ended up setting the charge off early, which ended up burying Brinkman and Nash under the tons and tons of rubble, which, ultimately killed them. I mean, it's kind of hard to live through them. But then Kelly disappeared, and he was found in 1866, 2 miles inside the tunnel, in the exact same spot where his 2 co-workers had died. And he was strangled to death, and the murder was never solved. If that's not some, revengeful, stuff, I don't know what is. And it's said that Brinkman and Nash's spirits killed Kelly. So after that, no one wanted to enter the tunnels anymore because they thought it was cursed. And that's kind of where all this, fear of the tunnel came from. To this day, if you go to near that spot, 2 miles into the tunnel, and since, the accident happened, there's multiple accounts of just hearing agony cries, just super painful, horrible moaning, and just horrible sounds from men inside the tunnel. So they believe that to be Brinkman and Nash's spirits, who are just, trapped there from this horrible, not even a tragedy. I mean, it's kind of obvious that Kelly, killed them. Why would you set off a charge early of, a huge explosion, and then you're found there strangled? Come on. I don't think that's really an accident. But, his murder was never solved. Kelly's murder. No one knew who did it, so, yeah. And then, in 1868, so a few years after, the most horrible disaster happened. So 13 miners died during a gas explosion that it was so large that it blew apart a surface pumping station as well. And when a worker was lowered to search for the survivors, he couldn't even get all the way down. He had to be pulled up due to all the fumes there, and he was almost unconscious, and he said, no hope. So they couldn't even get down there to search. And by that time, the 538-foot mining shaft was filled up with water due to, just the explosion, making it so one of the pumps wasn't operable anymore. And after that, multiple bodies started floating to the surface, but not all of them. So more than a year later, they finally had the mine drained, and they found all the remaining bodies that were found on a raft that the men built to float on the rising water. So they didn't drown, but like they were probably waiting for rescue, which is terribly sad because they just couldn't get down there. So then they, instead of drowning, they suffocated from the fire consuming all the oxygen. So they just all suffocated down there while trying to stay afloat, which is just so horrible. It's like, you think you survived and you're gonna, survive all this horrible tragedy, and you just, end up dying there. Very sad. And after that, these, locals would report these weird shapes and muffled wails near the water-filled pit. This was before they got this was before they got all the water out and stuff. I mean, the mine was just filled with water for a very long time, and so people would just pass by it and hear these horrible screaming wails from in the water, which is just so scary to think of because you can't do anything, and I mean, it was ghosts at that time since the people couldn't have lasted long down there. People also report lost miners carrying picks and shovels through the mist and snow at the mountaintop, but not leaving any footprints and just disappearing. So, their apparitions are still just rummaging around. And so a few more years go by, and in 1874, Frank Webster, who was a local hunter, he just vanished. And then he was found 3 days later, stumbling along the banks of Deerfield River in a state of shock, which Deerfield River is very close to the tunnel. So after they had found him, he said strange voices led him to the Hoosac tunnel, and once he was inside, he saw a ghostly figure wandering around. And then suddenly, something grabbed his rifle from his hand and beat him over the head with it. Don't know if it was a human, if it was a spirit, a monster. No, I don't think there's any monsters in this, but just saying. But he was also found with no weapon, and he could not recall leaving the tunnel. So that's some, it stuff, like strange voices calling to you to go into a tunnel, and then you almost die. But that's weird that I guess he could have gotten up after getting hit in the head and just stumbled out of confusion. It did say he was in a state of shock, so it is very likely that, he was just very confused. Is my take on it, because he doesn't remember leaving the tunnel. I mean, after you get hit in the head, you're not very, vivid, if that's the right word. You have no idea what's going on. But, so, and even after the completion of the tunnels, tales were still told. So this part of the story I think is very interesting. So in the fall of 1875, a year after the tunnel was completed, Harlan Mulvaney, a fire tender, was driving. Oh, no, this isn't the part that I find super interesting. Sorry, that's after this one. My bad. This one's still interesting, but not like the crazy one that I was thinking of. Yeah, anyway, a fire tender was driving a wagon load of firewood into the tunnel late at night, and suddenly he turned his team around and sprinted out of the tunnel. And then, after a couple days, his team and his wagon were found in the woods 3 miles away from the tunnel, but Harlan was never seen again. So that's odd that he went, into the tunnel, and then he turned everybody around and just sprinted out of there, very quickly. I mean, it's what did he see there? You just never know. Okay, so this is a story that I find insanely interesting. So, in October 30th, in 1977, Joseph Impoko, he was a railroad employee, and he was chipping ice from the tracks. He then heard a voice say, "Run, Joe, run." He turned and saw a number 60 train. I don't know how big that is. I'm guessing it's just a standard railroad train. I can't think of the name right now. Not railroad train, but you know what I'm talking about. Steam engine, you know, the big ones. I can't think of the exact name. A number 60 train. How about that? He saw that coming at him. He then jumped out of the way. And after he went to look to see who called out for him, like who saw it, like, to thank the person. And there was just nobody around. All the crew was, outside of the tunnel. Just no one was around for him to actually hear. And then 6 weeks later, he was using an iron crowbar to free freight trains that were stuck on the icy tracks. He then heard someone yell, "Joe, Joe, drop it, Joe." He then dropped the bar instantly, and it was struck and smashed against the tunnel wall by 11,000 volts of electricity from a short-circuited overhead power line that had fallen. And again, no one was around. So he believes that, these spirits did save his life twice. Because none of his crew were around to say, to yell. And then the third thing that happened to him, so he was removing trees from the tunnel entrance, and he then was nearly crushed by an enormous oak tree that fell in his direction that he thankfully saw and outran it. And after he had dodged it, he then heard a strange, unearthly laugh. And he does not think it came from his crew, because that would have been very messed up, and yeah, it just didn't sound like a human laugh, After that, he proceeded to quit his job and moved away. He was done with it, I would be too. I'd be like, oh, this is a little much. Everything's trying to kill me in here. No, thank you. But even though he quit and moved away, he still goes back every year to thank the ghosts that saved him. He thought that if he didn't, tragedy would strike in some way. And then one year, in 1977, he stayed home due to his wife being ill, so he couldn't make it that year. And then in that October, she died. So he believes since he didn't visit the tunnel, that his sickly wife just didn't end up recovering, because, the whole tragedy thing. Which, I don't know. I don't really think that's true, but it's sad, but I don't think it's due to him not visiting. And then there's just multiple ghost stories that have been told by these professors and all these people who want to investigate, that have talked about going in there, seeing a blue light, a light that they thought was just some employee coming with a lantern, and that light ended up turning into a blue light that turned into a figure of a human, but without a head, that was just walking past these guys while they were investigating the tunnels. It was so scary. And people have, also heard, like I said, the moaning, and, all the instances of just, the ghosts moaning and hearing, all just different noises, and yeah, like that guy that got saved by 3 of them, it's just chock full of all of that. But, so, that was Hoosac Tunnel. Okay, so, believability. 10 out of 10, man. Do you know how many people died there? There's no way that over 200 people died, and that place isn't haunted. It's so many tragedies happen there. So, and from all the accounts and everything, I definitely believe that's real to me. Or I believe it. Scariness, honestly, probably an 8 out of 10 spooky boys on that. Only because, I don't know if you guys remember the movie, it was something like Valentine's Day or something, but it was like with minors and like killing people. I don't know, but since then, like since that movie came out like a while ago, like, you know, probably like, I mean, could be 20 years ago now. I mean, but yeah, since then I've just found, you know, minors, like, not to be rude, but kind of creepy. I don't know, just like mine shafts and stuff, just like, you know, freak me out. So it's kind of like that fact, and like, you know, they have weapons when they're ghosts, you know, like the pickaxes and shovels, and like, I don't know, mines are just creepy. So to me, that's why that's scary, and like the whole, like, I don't know, wailing and stuff. Like, I don't like to hear people screaming. No, thank you. I'm fine. So yeah, that's pretty scary to me, even though like nothing bad has happened to anybody. You know, usually I base it off that, like, oh, if they attack people or anything, but like minors, just no offense, just freak me out, you know, just like, and they just died so brutally. Like, I don't want to deal with those vengeful ghosts. So, bringing that up, would I go investigate there? 5 out of 10 spooky boys. Only because it's like a tunnel, so I don't feel like, you know, it's a tunnel and a mine. I think, like, I don't know if now there's not a mine, like a mine area anymore, or if it's just the railway tunnel. Like, I don't know if the mine shafts and stuff are still there, it didn't say. But, yeah, 5 out of 10. Because there's so many, you know, accounts of paranormal activity, which I would love to document. But also, I don't feel like getting hit by a train. Like, that's not my thing, you know, not about that. But it seems like it's like pretty haunted, and you know, it's not too like the I don't know. I think 5 out of 10. You know, it's fine. I would go. I would just be a little hesitant, you know. But yeah, I would definitely go. Okay. So, moving on to Lake Lanier. I hope I'm saying that right. So in the foothills of the northern Georgia mountains, northeast of Atlanta, lays Lake Lanier. Created in the 1950s by flooding a valley community, including a cemetery where the graves were not properly moved. Uh-oh, you know what that means. Spooky Town Nation. So, and also, since the lake has been, since 1994 at that lake, 200 people have died either swimming or due to boating accidents. Or just, you know, drowning in general. Just over 200 people have died there by drowning. So the building of the lake. So the government of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers wanted to create a lake for water and power for Atlanta. So they provided, you know, families with, you know, they paid them off pretty much so that they could have them move and pretty much buy all their property. So 700 families actually sold their houses, and a total of 56,000 acres were sold. So the whole town, you know, and some people, you know, it's hard to put a price on, you know, years and years and years of family memories and, you know, just your home, you know. It's hard when you've lived there for generations and generations like these people did. But ultimately, you know, all the families moved. The families packed, so then the families, when the town was going to be flooded, they just packed the roads, you know, like the bridges and everything, to watch their town get just flooded. Just like all those memories, like literally washed away. It must have been devastating. And just, you know, sad and, you know, sad stuff. But so, you know, the government, they removed all the, like, barns and pretty much any, like, wooden structures they took down, so they wouldn't float up and damage boating, you know, boaters and everything, for the lake itself. But they left a lot of graves not moved. They say only unmarked graves, but I was watching a show, and it's not Expedition Unknown. It's like Expedition Unknown X or something, where it's not the main guy, who I really admire. I forgot his name. It's like two of his, like, other employees that go and do stuff. So it wasn't that interesting. They kind of it seemed like a play, you know. It was weird, but they actually investigated this place, and they went down and they found these graves, and it was just like, they weren't unmarked graves, you know. They were definitely just graves there, and they were supposed to be, like, move everything, like, you know, the bodies and the, you know, gravestones, oh my god, the gravestones. But they do admit to not moving a lot of unmarked graves due to they just couldn't find them. You know, large burial sites, they just didn't know where those are. Those are hard to find, so lots and lots and lots of bodies were left underneath the lake. So that's obviously a good speculation as to why it's haunted, besides the next 200 people who died in the lake, you know. But divers have reported creepy sightings under the water, including catfish that are apparently as big as Volkswagens. Are you kidding me? That's disgusting. It's a lot of food, but really gross. Like, that's a dinosaur, right? Like, that's like the Loch Ness Monster, but a catfish form. Like, that's disgusting. This part's even grosser. So apparently, if you reach out when you're, you know, kind of near the floor of the lake, you will feel human body parts, because people die there a lot. Like, it's not like, ooh, is it a ghost? It's like, no, it's a real person, you know, because multiple people have died here. Some just haven't been found. This one diver said, you reach out and feel an arm or a leg and it doesn't move. Oh my god, so gross. It's just horrible. Like, do they have to grab it and bring it up? Like, what do they do? Like, I wouldn't. I would freak out and swim to the top and, like, call the police or something. But it's hard to get those, you know, the bodies out of the water if you don't know exactly where they are, or they can move, you know, like with currents and stuff, I believe. I don't know if currents go down to the floor of the river, but anywho, but that doesn't stop people from visiting, because the lake gets 12 million visitors a year. I mean, I get that it's a lake, but, like, come on, do your research. Don't go there. I mean, or go there. I don't know, but that's gross. I don't know. But let's talk about the ghosts. So, the most notorious ghost is the lady in the blue dress. Ooh. So, Delia Mae Parker Young was, is the ghost. It's the lady. So in 1958, she and her friend Susie Roberts, who were, and more elderly, they're older, they were driving into town, and they were last seen at a gas station, speeding away without paying. Those are some bad grannies. You know what I'm talking about? And a few miles away from the gas station, skid marks could be seen near the Dawsonville Bridge, which was, goes over the lake. And so what they believed was that the car crossed over the center line and just skid off and, went right into the lake. But no bodies or a car were found. And no bodies or a car were found. That's until 18 months later, when a man was fishing at the Dawsonville Bridge, when a body with no hands, and a left foot without 2 toes floated up right where he was fishing. So it didn't snag or anything, or maybe it snagged and she got let loose or whatever from whatever was holding her down. But she could not be identified due to her having dentures and no hands, so no fingerprints. So she was placed in an unmarked grave at the Alta Vista Cemetery. Don't mind that loud packages in the back. It's fine. Just So then, in November 1990, granted, the accident took place in 1958, and this was in 1990, a construction crew that was working on the bridge found the same type of Ford car that the ladies were driving, with a woman still inside. So the body was identified as Susie Roberts, the friend. So they then marked, the previous unmarked grave of Delia Mae Parker Young, based on the discovery of Susie. But still, to this day, Delia is still seen wandering the bridge in her blue dress, lost and wandering. Which, even though, makes sense. Does she want her hands back? Why does she have no hands? I'm guessing it's because of fish, but I'm pretty sure fish don't eat the bones. Where'd her hands go? I don't know. I'm not a fish scientist. I don't know what they're called. I'm sorry. So loud. Oh my god, I'm sorry. So the ranking for believability, I think I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 spooky boys. It makes sense that it's haunted and so many bodies must be down there, so it's just like all these poor lost souls and stuff, and makes if ghosts were to haunt anything, I think it would be like, if you got into a car accident and nobody found your body for years, it's like, well, not even years, identify your body at least, like nobody knows it was you, that would be upsetting. I would probably be so confused and lost too, but that's just me. Scariness. That would be a 9 out of 10 spooky boys for me. You want to know why? I hate water. I hate the ocean. I'm not a fan of lakes, mostly with towns underneath them, mostly with bodies still in them that you touch when you dive there. I am not a fan. I need to see everything that's going on around me. Do not put me down there. I will die. I will have a panic attack and die. That to me is terrifying. Anything with water? No thank you. Not my jam. It's the whole Delia thing. Yeah, it's scary, whatever. It's a ghost, she's just walking around. She's confused. She's not that scary. But the whole diving down there, you find body parts and stuff, and you can see figures under the water and stuff. Terrifying. So terrifying. The worst. Bringing it to when I go investigate there. Ooh, that is a 1 out of 10 spooky boys on that one, my dudes. No way. You couldn't even drag me there. I would literally have a stroke probably before I got in there. Don't put me in water. I'm like a cat. I'll freak out, scratch you and run away. No, not my thing. No, I don't like it. Okay. So that's that. So, this is our last one. I know we've been talking for a while. Sorry. Okay, so Centennial Hall. This one's really short. So in Valentine, Nebraska, population only a few thousand, small town. And I actually grew up in a very small town too, where I spent most of my elementary to mid-high school years before I moved to Brooklyn. You heard me talk about it in my last podcast. But the I lived in a village and the population was 3,000. I mean, it still is. It's still 3,000. So I get how small towns, how it's close to home, very small town stuff. But anyway, the Centennial Hall was Nebraska's oldest standing school, and it was built in 1897. And it's told that a young unnamed girl was murdered there. So this girl was a clarinetist, and I think that's how you say it, clarinetist? I don't know, I've never said that word in my life, I have no idea. She played the clarinet. And her friend poisoned her clarinet reed. So when this young girl went to play it, had to put her mouth on it, she just died while playing the clarinet. Very sad. Not really a friend, I would say, that poisoned her. Maybe it was her friend, but like, that's rude. Friends don't kill each other. Friends don't poison each other's reeds, alright? Take note. Anyway, but, so very sad. And before the school got converted into a museum, teachers would always feel like just this dread and uneasiness, I mean, it would make sense. You literally saw like, oh, my papers fell. You literally saw, a little girl die and stuff. And teachers would also see ghostly apparitions, hear clarinet music being played when no one was around, rocking chairs being rocked. The whole spooky ghost stuff going on. But now the school is a museum, so they allow visitors, so you can actually go there, check it out, see if you see anything rocking or, hear any clarinet music being played. Sorry, I don't feel like I ever heard a solo clarinet thing being played. Most of my friends played flute growing up. I have no idea. But and I didn't. I played electric guitar and stuff. So cool. But okay. Let's rate these. So for believability, I'm gonna say a solid 7 out of 10 spooky boys. It's yeah, I can see it happening, poor little girl got murdered, she's probably confused, she's probably hanging around. What's happening? But I don't know if you would still be able to experience stuff today. I don't know about that, since it was so long ago, the 1800s, a long time ago. I don't know. Hopefully the little girl has moved on. Hopefully. Scariness, 1 out of 10. Spooky boys on that. Only because it is a little girl who plays music. I don't think that's scary. I don't know if that's just me. I would find it very cute. I know that it's a ghost, but it's a little girl. She didn't kill anybody, it's not like she was a crazy evil little girl. She was literally just playing the clarinet. And her mean little bully friend decided to just poison her reed, which is very high IQ and stuff, but rude. Don't do that. It's rude. No reason. Would I go investigate there? A good 9.5 out of 10 spooky boys. Not a super 10, because honestly I think it would just be a little boring. There's only one story here, it's not a whole... There's only one ghost to find, it's just an old barn school, I don't find it that intriguing to go and investigate. But it's not that scary, so I would, you know what I mean? If there is account, there's so many, accounts of activity and stuff that I would want to go see it for myself and investigate it, and this is probably one that I would honestly go by myself. No, don't hold me to that. Don't hold me to that. I'm just saying. But it's just it's, I would go. Yeah. But not excitedly go. So that's why it's a 9.5. It's I'll do it, but not super interested. But anyway, so that is it for episode 2. So we're gonna quickly just rank our favorite, haunted places. So mine number 1 would be Stanley Hotel, obviously. It is a passion of mine, I would have to say. And like, I had to make it so short for this podcast, or else I could do like an entire episode of it, but I already did so much, so I feel like it would be kind of useless. And I like doing multiple things at once, because it kind of, you know, you can skip to a story that you want to hear, or, you know, it's just more intriguing, I guess. So honestly, I think I said it I think I placed them in like the way that was most interesting to me, to be honest, even before I did like the research, because I list out which ones I'm going to talk about first, and then I research them in like order. So I think I kind of just did it, just somehow made it perfect like that, because yeah, number 2 would be Hoosac Tunnel. I think it's crazy how much activity happens there. I find it very interesting, very spooky, and just yeah, super intriguing, honestly. And I mean, obviously it's incredibly saddening how many people died there and stuff, but just to make a tunnel, you know. But the paranormal activity is like very interesting. Number 3 would be, yeah, Lake Lanier. Would never go there. If you go there, you will die. Check out the memes on Twitter on it, because there's a lot. And it seems horrible. And yeah, just don't go there. You might just touch a dead body. Like, don't do it, you know? Just ugh. And then yeah, number 4 would have to be Centennial Hall, just because it's like, it's a little girl, let her be, you know. It's like, not that, it's kind of boring. Like, not boring as in like I didn't want to tell the story, because it is like, I think her story is interesting. Like, I haven't heard of that, like that way to die, you know, someone getting poisoned by clarinet reed. Like, that's very intriguing to me. But the whole like, it's one ghost haunting an old barn, like, it's like, okay, you know. But so that is it for episode 2. Woo! Let me know what you guys think, and if you want me to make videos of this. I mean, I literally record this just like in my bedroom, so I don't know how interesting a video would be, because I don't have like a cool studio, and like, you know, I don't have anybody to talk about with these things with, which I would love to. I would love to get a second person on this channel. It's just, yeah, like I said in the first one, I just don't have friends. I just don't have people that are interested in these things. So it's just a little hard to talk about that. It's just a little hard to, you know, get someone to do it, but maybe in the future, maybe, you know, connect, you know, some people over this. Who knows? But yeah, if you like this episode, please, you know, whatever platform this is on, follow, download, subscribe. It would help me out a lot. It would make me be able to do this almost, you know, like every week. That would be a goal. I would love to be able to do that at least once a week, you know, maybe in the future, yeah, record it, like video, hire a video editor. Like, I would love to make this, you know, almost like a full-time job, because researching all of this does take me like a day, you know, and then I could do it like, you know, once a day, you know, and make all these things. That would be really cool. I don't have the means to make that happen at the moment, because it's just little old me, and I got a lot of stuff to take care of, so it's a little hard. But if you guys like the show, yeah, just let me know, and I will see you guys on Mondays. Okay, I don't have an outro yet, so okay, thank you so much, everyone, and I will be seeing you guys soon. Yeah, thank you so much, guys, and have a good morning, afternoon, or night, depending on where you are. Okay, bye-bye.